Welcome, thinkers and seekers, to another deep dive into the labyrinth of thought. Today, we embark on a journey that stretches beyond the confines of everyday life to explore the very essence of existence, perception, and reality. This is not just a philosophical exploration, it's an invitation to expand your mind and open your eyes to the world around you in new and profound ways. Imagine for a moment that the way you see the world isn't the way the world really is. What if your perception is merely one of many? What if what you think of as reality is just a constructed tapestry of ideas woven by your mind? Today, we will be exploring the transformative power of perspectives and how altering the way we view reality can unlock deeper truths about ourselves, our relationships, and the universe itself. But before we dive into these profound questions, let's take a step back and consider one of the foundational concepts in philosophy: the idea that our perceptions shape our reality. Let's begin with one of the most influential ideas in the history of philosophy, Plato's allegory of the cave. Plato imagined prisoners chained in a dark cave, forced to look at a wall for their entire lives. Behind them is a fire, and between the fire and the prisoners, there are puppeteers who cast shadows on the wall. The prisoners, unable to see the true source of the shadows, believe that the shadows are the entirety of reality. For them, what they see on the wall is all they know. Now, imagine one of these prisoners is freed and allowed to leave the cave. At first, the sunlight is blinding, and the outside world seems strange and disorienting. But eventually, as their eyes adjust, the prisoner begins to see the world for what it truly is: a vibrant, expansive landscape full of color, light, and life. This experience symbolizes a shift in perception, a kind of awakening. The prisoner's former reality, based on shadows and limited understanding, is shattered. This allegory invites us to question: how much of our world is shaped by the shadows on the walls of our own mental caves? How much do we truly see versus how much do we think we see? Plato's allegory of the cave remains a powerful reminder that our perception is not necessarily reality, it's merely an interpretation. But how do we know when our perceptions are clouded? How do we move beyond the shadows? This is where philosophy comes in. Philosophical inquiry is the tool we use to push beyond our immediate perceptions and confront the deeper truths of existence. It's a process of questioning assumptions, challenging established norms, and rethinking the very way we interpret the world. Take, for example, Immanuel Kant's theory of knowledge. Kant argued that while we may never fully access things as they are, we can still understand the way our minds structure experience. According to Kant, our senses filter reality through mental categories such as space, time, and causality. In this view, reality is not something we passively experience, but something actively shaped by our minds. This idea challenges the belief that there is an objective reality independent of human perception, suggesting instead that reality is, in a sense, co-created by the mind and the world it perceives. If reality is indeed a construct, what does that mean for us? Are we merely the sum of our perceptions, or is there a deeper truth that exists beyond what our senses can reveal? These are the questions that philosophers like Kant, Hume, and Descartes sought to answer. But they also left us with more questions that continue to puzzle us to this day. Now, let's take this idea a step further. What happens when our perspectives change? When we start to see the world not as it appears, but as it could be? One of the most profound aspects of philosophy is its ability to transform the way we live, the way we interact with others, and the way we approach life's biggest questions. Think about the way different cultures perceive the world. In the West, we tend to view the universe through a scientific, analytical lens zone that values logic and objectivity. But in other parts of the world, particularly in Eastern traditions, there is often a more holistic view of existence one that emphasizes interconnectedness, intuition, and the cyclical nature of life. These different perspectives shape everything from our ethical decisions to our understanding of the self and the universe. For example, in many Eastern philosophies, like Buddhism, the concept of emptiness teaches that everything is interdependent and transient. The self is not a fixed, isolated entity, but rather part of an ever-changing, interconnected web of life. This perspective challenges the Western notion of the autonomous, independent individual and invites us to reconsider our relationship with others and the world around us. How would your life change if you adopted a more interconnected perspective? How would your relationships transform if you saw yourself as part of a greater whole, rather than as a separate, isolated being? The beauty of philosophy lies not only in its abstract ideas, but in its practical applications. We don't need to be philosophers to change our perspectives. Every day, we are faced with opportunities to reframe our experiences, to see things in a new light. Think about the last time you faced a challenge. Perhaps it was a difficult relationship, a setback at work, or a personal struggle. How did you interpret the situation? What perspective did you take? Now, imagine if you approached that situation from a different angle. If you saw it as an opportunity for growth, rather than a roadblock. This is the transformative power of perspective shifts. By questioning our assumptions and reinterpreting our experiences, we can create new meanings and open up new possibilities. The Stoics, for example, taught us to focus on what we can control and to embrace adversity as a natural part of life. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us that the obstacles we face are not inherently bad. They are opportunities for us to practice virtue and resilience. Imagine if we all adopted this mindset that our challenges are not obstacles, but stepping stones to personal growth. This perspective shift could change not only how we approach difficulties, but how we engage with life itself. But as we explore the power of perspectives, we must also acknowledge a fundamental limitation: the idea that we can ever fully escape our subjective lens. Philosophers have long debated whether true objectivity is even possible. Descartes' famous declaration, "Cogito, ergo sum," I think, therefore I am, reminds us that the very act of thinking is a subjective experience. Even when we try to step back and view the world from an objective standpoint, we are still bound by our perceptions. Take, for example, the experience of color. The color red, as we perceive it, is not an inherent property of an object, but the result of how our brains interpret light waves. Different creatures perceive colors differently. Dogs, for instance, see fewer colors than humans do. What does this tell us about the nature of reality? Perhaps what we consider to be objective truths are simply constructs built upon our shared perceptions, not universal realities. This raises a profound question. If we cannot ever fully escape our subjective perspectives, does that mean we are forever trapped in our own version of reality? Or can we learn to transcend our limitations and access deeper truths, even if they are filtered through our own minds? As we conclude our journey through the labyrinth of perspectives, we come to a powerful realization. The way we see the world shapes the world we experience. Our perceptions, while subjective, are not just passive reflections, they are active forces that shape our reality. By expanding our perspectives, by questioning our assumptions and embracing new ways of thinking, we have the power to transform our lives and our understanding of the universe. So, the next time you encounter a challenge, or when you find yourself caught in a narrow view of the world, ask yourself, is there another way to see this? Can you shift your perspective and open yourself up to new possibilities? Philosophy teaches us that the answers may not always be easy, but the journey itself, the process of questioning, exploring, and growing is what makes life truly meaningful. Thank you for joining us on this philosophical exploration. May your mind continue to grow, and may your perspective continue to expand. Until next time, keep questioning, keep seeking, and keep exploring the boundless mysteries of existence.